everyone. This is Al coming to you once again for Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. And as you can see, tonight I'm in my home neighborhood of Winter Terrace / Park Slope, and going to be doing a walking tour of the movie As Good As It Gets. And believe it or not, we're going to be walking almost in a complete square, because all the filming that was done in this neighborhood was done in pretty much this square that I'm going to show you. And I'm trying to do something different here. I'm doing this at night because most of the filming was done at night, so I thought it'd be pretty cool to do that. Again, I'm at Prospect Avenue and Howard Place. You can see that right there. And I only live a couple blocks away from here. I lived here most of my life. This is actually Holy Name of Jesus School, which is now called St. Joseph the Worker. Back in 1997, when As Good As It Gets was filmed, it was Holy Name of Jesus, but they've since turned into a Catholic academy. So as I said before, we are on Howard Place, and we're going to do a little walking tour of the sets where As Good As It Gets was filmed. And of course, this is 22 years later. And if you're tuning into this video, you know that the actual movie won a ton of Academy Awards for Best Actor for Jack Nicholson, Best Actress for Helen Hunt, Best Music, I believe, for Hans Zimmer, Best Supporting Actor for Kinnear, and lots of others. So, folks, this is Howard Place, and a lot of movies have been filmed around here. So, Spider-Man, One Block Down, As Good As It Gets, and I'm not going to really show you too much. I don't want to show you the exact house because that wouldn't be polite, but one of these houses along here was where As Good As It Gets was filmed. And like I say, folks, this is my neighborhood. You see right there, that's a little dark, but St. Joseph the Worker symbol there. And they did use a lot of extras in this movie. They did hire some of the school kids. They did some scenes, and I'll show you where that took place. But we're doing this little walking tour here, and you'll be surprised how much they filmed in this couple of square blocks, which is, like I said, one square. And if you're coming from a different spot, which you most probably are, I'm in Brooklyn, and we have 3 airports pretty much nearby. We have LaGuardia, we have Kennedy Airport, JFK, and we have Newark. So the traffic you hear above is all traffic that's going through LaGuardia. So pretty much a good way to come into New York, because you kind of see more coming into LaGuardia. But pretty much over here, around here somewhere, I know which one, but like I said, I don't want to be rude, was where that was filmed, As Good As It Gets. Now, if you're tuning into this movie, I'm hoping that you really love the movie like I do. And you're going to be familiar with these scenes. So I'm going to come over here. Now, if you remember, at one particular point, Jack Nicholson comes over late at night, and you actually see his car from a height, from the apartment window. And you see this train station. This is the F train and the G train. This is the 15th Street station on the F and the G. And pretty much hasn't changed, of course. It's been like this since probably the 1930s, but this is pretty much the scene you see. Of course, it's higher. You see this scene from the apartment. So now we're going to cross over here, and of course that's another view this way. Now this street here is Windsor Place. So again, we're pretty much going in the square. So I just want to move up over here. And if you've seen the movie, of course, which I know you have because you're watching this video, you're going to remember these scenes. Now, if you think back to the scene where the Catholic school children in their uniforms are walking up the block, and Jack Nicholson yells at them. I think he says, "Kids, stop." That's coming up right over here. The kids were walking right here, right where I'm walking now. And you're going to recognize Jack Nicholson was standing on the corner. He was standing, if you look at the thumbnail that I have on this video, hopefully that one works, but if you remember the movie, he was standing with a pharmacy in the background. So I'm going to show you that. So pretty much right about here is where the kids just all of a sudden stopped. As the kids stopped, and they stayed right here. Of course, they were walking up the block right about here, right behind me. So I'm going to go a little closer. Right over here. I hope you're enjoying this. Folks, please drop me a like. Any comments would be appreciated. Any ideas for future videos. So, right over here, Jack Nicholson was standing right here on this corner. And if you see right here, that sign is, it's still the same owners of this pharmacy. But if you remember the scene, it's got the drug sign up in the upper left, and the pharmacy sign is different now, but it's the same owners. And if you remember over here, this is where Jack Nicholson was standing in the street trying to hail the cab. Now, again, I'm from this neighborhood. Also, I had a store up here for 25 years, a Hallmark Gold Crown store. And like I say, most of this movie was filmed at night. We had the store for 25 years, and we had it from 1986 forward. And this movie was 1997. And they came to us and they said, because it was filmed at night, they wanted us to stay open overnight while they did the filming. So they actually gave us $500, which was a lot of money, still a lot of money. It was a lot, $500 to stay open, you know, because again, we all have to pull down gates one way or another. And they asked us to stay open with the lights on because they were filming right along here. And of course, this is Prospect Park West, very famous strip. Now I'm going to show you. So pretty much, folks, all of the businesses complied for $500. And we've got to look at the school right here. I'm going to show you right here. My store was actually right here, right where that Prospect Market is. It's actually two buildings, but that's actually the building right there, where my store was. So we stayed open in there overnight. I remember my brother-in-law stayed in there toward the wee hours of the night watching TV. And I'm actually filming. My brother actually owns that building, so I'm filming that a little long, so it's okay. So back to the walking tour. So now, if you remember, at the end of the movie, they're coming up here. And of course, it's Jack Nicholson says something like, you know, we can go out and get hot rolls. And Helen Hunt kind of doesn't want to, because she's like, oh, we're going to look like some crazy people. But he says, no, we're just going to go out. All we are is two people looking to have hot rolls. So right along here, this was all cordoned off. This whole street was cordoned off, and it was all lit up. Of course, all the stores had their lights on. There were the movie set lights. And roughly 4 o'clock in the morning, Helen Hunt and Jack Nicholson walked right up the street. Now, if you've seen my other videos, or if you're familiar with the neighborhood, even if you're not, 3 blocks down from here, another famous movie was filmed called Dog Day Afternoon with Al Pacino. So anyway, back to this. If you remember them walking along, they actually passed by the signpost right here. This is the Holy Name of Jesus Church, where I received all my sacraments. Went to grammar school here. And if you remember, Jack Nicholson and Helen Hunt walk up right along here. You could see the same crucifix. This was here as long as the church has been here. I'm 53 and still been here. They walked right by over here. Now that's the bakery. That was the bakery right there. It's now a French restaurant, but that was with Regina Bakery, which has now moved around the corner. So if you remember, they come right up over here, right to this corner. And this again is the corner again of Prospect Avenue and Prospect Park West. I started the tour right down there, just on that little area back there. So now this is where they were. So of course they walk across the street right here at 4 o'clock in the morning. And if you remember, Jack Nicholson didn't like stepping on the cracks. So right along here in this area here is where he kind of didn't want to step on the cracks, and he walked around the cracks right here. And what they did was they walked down here, and This was the bakery back then. So what happens is they come down here, they walk down a little farther to right about here, and then bingo, the lights go on at the bakery, and they come into the bakery right over here. And this is where they walk in. One other thing I want to show you again, still continuing with the square. If you remember the part when they go on the road trip to see Simon's parents, I know it's a little dark here, but right here is where Helen Hunt gets on the bus and she's waving goodbye to Spencer. And this is the block she drives down right over here when she goes to meet up with Jack Nicholson right there. Alrighty, and one more thing I want to show you. Hope you guys are having as much fun as I am, because I'm really enjoying this. It's something different at night. So like I said, folks, come from the neighborhood, and of course it was a big deal having this movie made in the neighborhood. I mean, I was always a huge Jack Nicholson fan. And what I want to show you now is the final thing, is where Jack Nicholson's trailer was. They filmed for a couple of days, and the outside scenes here were filmed in one night, but they did some filming on the porch and stuff. That was like another day. And then they turned around and they did a lot of the other filming. I think it was in Hollywood, or where they did like some of the interior scenes. But right down here, now again, if you remember, we're staying right in that square, which is pretty fascinating. So if you want to come here and check out these sites, it's pretty awesome, because you're not going to have to go too far. So right down here, I'm going to show you where Jack Nicholson had his big Winnebago trailer parked. And if you know Jack Nicholson, you know that he's a huge sports fan. He had a satellite dish on the trailer, and that was kind of a big deal back then. Not a lot of people had those. And I remember all the people were out there waving to him, and he was waving back. He was trying to give some autographs, and he turned around, he was waving, gave a few autographs. And then he must have gone in and watched the end of a basketball game or something, because I know he still is a huge basketball fan. So let me come out on the street, because all you're seeing here is pretty much parked cars. And I'm going to show you, we'll end where we started. So right over here under that lamppost, that's where Jack's trailer was parked. And didn't really have a big police presence. It was a couple of cop cars, a couple of squad cars. The neighborhood here was really good. I mean, people here are wonderful. I grew up in this neighborhood. Love this neighborhood very much. And like I said, a lot of great people from this neighborhood. So Jack had a really good time, and he didn't have any trouble while he was here. And of course he had good luck, because he won the Academy Award. So did Helen Hunt. So did a lot of people. And folks, right where we started, we're going to end. Here we are at the signpost once again, right at Howard Place and Prospect Avenue. If you ever want to come here, like I said, it's a wonderful neighborhood, folks. We have a great movie theater. We have a lot of great stores, wonderful people, easily accessible by bus or by train. Brooklyn, one of the best places in the world, my favorite place. So, folks, thank you for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed this video. A little bit longer than usual than my videos, but I thought it'd be really cool to kind of film it at night, kind of the way it was done for the movie sets. So folks, I'd really appreciate you subscribing if you could. I'd really appreciate some feedback. Let me know about what you liked about the movie, what you liked about the video, how maybe I could improve it. That would be great. Give me a like, and have a good night, folks. I really thank you for tuning in. If you've stayed on this far, thank you very much again. This is Al signing off from Prospect Avenue and Howard Place on the former movie set of As Good as It Gets. Take care, folks. Good night.